let's talk about push-ups. I think everybody wants to do a push-up at some point from their toes. When I first started my journey a few years ago, that literally was the first goal that I had. I was very, very weak. So I spent a lot of time, and I'm talking months, in understanding how to do a push-up properly and then getting strong enough to gradually go from an elevated surface all the way down to the ground, nailing them on hands and toes. And I'm excited for you to be able to do the same thing. So I want to walk you through a few of my favorite tips that help you also master the push-up. First though, we have to understand what the push-up position is and how it feels. Then I'm going to give you a couple of drills, and then we'll walk through how to move in the correct position, and then how to modify, because I realize all of us start at a different point. So let's talk about the position first. From here, I'm going to show you toes and hands. Basically, plank hold. When we're here, we tend to start like this. There's a lot of times we'll have arches in our back, our butts up, our knees are bent. We want to make sure every single bit of our body is contracted. It's a full body exercise. Everything's going to burn nice and tight. So when I'm here, my first position is my hands are underneath my shoulders. I am going to squeeze my quads, which will straighten my legs. But now I've got to arch my back. So from here, I'm going to tuck my butt. No big Instagram butts, flat, ugly butts. From here, my head's down, and I've got a bit, see right through there, through the shoulder blades, and dip. We want to push against the ground, bringing those shoulders away from our ears. So in this position, I am squeezing everything. It is very tight. You see, that's very different from here. Quads, butt, push up, shoulders away from ears. So this is the position to perform your push-ups. Now, once we have that, first step of mastering a push-up is being able to hold that position, because as you're going up and down closer to the ground, it's very easy to lose the engagement of our quads or especially our core. So 2 drills for you. First is going to be back into our position. I want you to hold maybe 20, 30 seconds, as long as you can. The first thing that gives away, maybe here or here, you're done. So everyone has a different range. You may be able to hold for 10 seconds, someone may be able to hold for a whole minute. I would suggest doing 2 or 3 sets of those. That will build your entire strength, especially focusing through the core. Once you can do that, the second drill is going to be commandos. So we're going to get back into that same position. I want you to think of steadying your hips so they don't rock, and that's going to happen by keeping the butt tucked and your core tight. We're going to drop to the ground, same arm, coming back up and up, opposite side, and keeping everything nice and tight. That again is going to practice upper body strength, core stability and strength, and is going to make all of your push-up movements so much easier. If that's challenging on the ground, you can perform that same movement on a bench. An elevated surface is always going to make it a little bit easier. So now that you've got the form, a few drills to help solidify that form, let's talk about how you actually move in a push-up. So from here, a couple tips. When you come from this starting position to the ground, you do not want your pelvis hitting first. You don't want your chest hitting first. You've got to have your pelvis and your chest and pelvis hit the ground at the same time. So as you come down, they hit the same time, they raise at the same time. So practice that. Often we think we're at the same pace. That's why it's helpful filming it so you can see one are higher than the other. Second, you want to make sure that your chest hits the ground. So when doing a push-up, here and up is not a full push-up. We want to be able to come down and back up. We'll talk about how to hit that and get the depth that you want. As you get stronger and stronger, that'll be easier. Next, I want to focus on arm placement. We've got a T, we've got more of a 45-degree angle, which makes more of an arrow. So as you're coming into your push-up position, a lot of times you'll see this. That's going to wreck your shoulders, plus it makes it a lot harder to come up. So when you're in this position, your arms, your elbows are going to come out to the side versus here. Again, I think most of us think we are coming here, when in actuality, we're rotating up in this T position. Practice that. Film it, because again, we think we're always doing it, and a lot of times we aren't doing what we're thinking we're actually doing. We want to, so then focus on chest, pelvis, up and down, chest hitting the ground, arms at the right angle. So from this position, we have certain checkpoints to hit, how to get to the ground, right? Because a lot of times we stop halfway. The goal is to the ground, and I know that's very challenging because we're not strong enough, right? So there's a few ways we can do this. First, you've got to figure out how close can I get. I think often we say, I just can't do it from my toes, so I'm going to drop to my knees or use an elevated surface. Instead of that, you've got to find out where your failure point is. So try a push-up. If you can come to here and back up, okay. Can you come to here and back up? Maybe your failure is there and we drop. So from this point, have yourself a checkpoint, something to give you a target to reach. So in this position, you may be able to only come here and back up, here and back up. As you get stronger, you can then get a shorter weight and replace it. And now you're going down just a little bit farther. Replace it a little bit farther. As you get closer and closer to the ground, the next thing you know, your chest will be on the ground and you're doing a full push-up. Now, if a push-up itself on your toes is challenging, what we're going to do is we're going to have you go to an elevated surface. So, set those to the side. You are going to either start, if you're in a gym, using a squat rack, which is going to be obviously quite a bit taller. If you're at home, an equivalent height might be a kitchen counter or the back of a couch. Here in the gym, I'm going to use the bench. Now, try the bench because we always want to see what we're capable of, and instead of assuming that's kind of too hard, you need to know where your failure point is. So try a bench first. From this position, right, we're hanging out. We're going to snap our legs up by squeezing the quads, tuck the butt, shoulders away from our ears. As you come down, chest to bench and back up. So from here, I know that this is too high because I got my chest to bench. So I'll drop a touch lower. If we still can't get to the bench height, that's when you would choose a higher surface. Back of a couch, countertop, squat rack. As you find your starting point, that's the best part because now you know where failure is and you can work from there, getting closer and closer to the ground. So I would suggest when you can do 10 reps with your chest hitting the checkpoint, the surface, then you move slightly lower. So maybe it would be this surface, and then you're at the height of a dumbbell going all the way to the ground. Obviously, if you're on a kitchen counter, you would come slower, shorter and shorter till you get to the bench. Before you know it, in doing all of these drills and really working on engaging your entire body, you will be doing a toe push-up from the ground.